but he's still a cunt.
May I just ask you one question? And someone brought this, Billy Bong brought this up on the chat, and I was thinking of asking you this for a while. Bong! I didn't want to interrupt.
All right, so it all started when I saw this tweet at work. Twitter's new report options, religion. You can now report a tweet if they criticize someone's religion. No ideologies are above criticism. And it shows the list of options you can click on when reporting someone. And one of the options are if it directs hate against race, religion, gender, or orientation. So me being, what my channel and what I talk about mostly on Twitter being Islam, I figured I gotta get home and do a video about this because I'm not gonna be stopped from criticizing religion, especially Islam. This is basically a blasphemy rule. So I get home and I see Andy did a video and I'm like, God damn, this son of a bitch, he beat me to it. I have a small channel I'm trying to grow, so I see that and I'm like, God damn, I hate putting out videos people already put out. But I'm like thinking, everyone on YouTube is gonna do this video. So I start researching and come to realize this story is actually a lot of fluff and there's not much meat to it. And then I watched Andy's video and realized he might have, jumped to conclusions himself, or, is just exaggerating a bit, or however you want to put it. But I just thought it was a little bit over the top, and I wanted to get the right info out there and clear up some of the misinformation. So here we go.
But Twitter is now fucking people in the ass repeatedly. It's a fucking ass fiesta over at Twitter, where they are now banning people for having different viewpoints than certain people. First of all, you could ban words. You could ban words off your Twitter now, as of yesterday. You could write the word apple. You fuck apples. Apples stink. Anyone who talks about it on my feed, I want them gone.
Now, this is really nothing. This is just, another, basically a blocking option. You can already block and mute people. So it's basically just muting things they put on their feed that you don't want to see. It's self-censorship, if anything. It's really not anything Twitter's forcing you to do. They're just giving you the option. Obviously, it's to limit speech, but it's for yourself. So if you want to put yourself in an echo chamber at that point, be my fucking guest. But this really is not that big of a deal, I don't think.
So you could ban apples. I don't know why you do that. If you do that, you're fucking insane. But whatever. I'm not judging. But now you could also, any type of account is able to flag certain tweets with a certain specific thing that Twitter released yesterday. So here it is, and I'm going to explain the details. The details is what's the ugh. You're like, ugh. Andy, why are you ughing when they just said you can't be mean to people? Let me explain before you fucking jump the gun. Why are you being a fucking dick? It's my fucking channel. I can take as much time as I want to explain shit. Sorry for yelling. I'm just kind of aggressive and angry right now.
Alright, before Andy tells you what he's talking about, I'm going to show you what he's talking about. This is the new policy on Twitter, and this is the part he's going to read off. Our hateful conduct policy prohibits specific conduct that targets people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or disease. Today we're giving you a more direct way to report this type of conduct for yourself or for others whenever you see it happening. This will improve our ability to process these reports, which helps reduce the burden on the person experiencing the abuse and helps to strengthen the culture of the collective support on Twitter. Now, the reason I'm reading this out is because Andy's going to go through all the traits that are listed there, race, ethnicity, national origin, all that bullshit, and explain why it's fucked up to do that, but that's the part that I find excessive because I know that we can already do this. There's actually nothing really Twitter has added besides better options to click on. Because if you go to the hateful conduct policy and you look at what it says, hateful conduct, you may not promote violence against or directly attack or threaten other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, blah, blah, blah. We also do not allow accounts whose primary purpose is inciting harm towards others on the basis of these categories. Examples of what we do not tolerate includes, but is not limited to, the behavior that harasses individuals or groups of people with violent threats, wishes of physical harm, death or disease or individuals of groups. Now this is the one that pisses me off because apparently now inciting violence is just wishing physical harm. You see, that's not a threat, that's a wish, and we've always distinguished that, and that's why you could always say to people, I wish you fucking die, you asshole. So this is what allows Twitter to call wishing death upon someone a threat, because they put it in their rules there. References to mass murder, violent events, or specific means of violence with which such groups have been the primary targets of or victims, behavior that incites fear about a protected group, repeated and or non-consensual slurs, epithets, racist and sexist tropes, or other content that degrades someone. Now, the reason I don't think it's a big deal is because even if they added a little couple of things here and there to these categories, you still have to actually report the person. Twitter doesn't just do this on its own. So it still has to be reported, just as it always has. Like, most of these rules have been in effect the whole time anyway, all of these parts of the policy. So it's not really any different. The next part is what's a little different, and Andy's going to explain it, and I still feel it's not that big a deal.
All right, so defined by Twitter as specific conduct that targets people on the basis of race. Now, I know, okay, don't be racist. Don't be dropping the N-bombs. Hey, fucking, like just dropping N-bombs. That's not what my Twitter is about, by the way. But you can't be racist, which sounds, in theory, great. All right, don't be racist. But what this means in the fine print is, first of all, you can't discuss race. So if I went to a black person and said something about crime stats, for example, I could be banned for just bringing that up because it has race in it. Also, it has to do with historical race context, which means if a black person goes, fuck you, whitey, that is fine. To Twitter, black people could be racist because historically, black people were oppressed. Now you have free reigns to go, fuck you, white people. But if anyone has the opposing viewpoint, you're banned. What the flying fuck? They're saying black people, go ahead and be racist. Twitter is full SJW. I knew it was going to happen.
Alright, so this is the part that I think Andy starts to get a little over the top. He goes on to read the beginning of the excerpt about race and the racial context, the historical racial context. So I basically skipped all of the other ones because he goes through every single one of them, and I just skipped that so we can keep on topic. Alright, so let me get into both things he mentioned there. He said if you bring up the topic of race, you can be banned. That's not really true. You can still talk to someone about race. They still have to report you on it, like I said before. And just because they report you doesn't mean you will be banned. Just as always, like there's actually people that do check this stuff out. So they do look at context a lot of the times, and if it's not and it's a bot that's doing it, then there's the problem. But it's really not anything new. You could be reported for anything on Twitter. That doesn't mean you will be banned. So just because you speak to someone about race doesn't mean you're going to be banned. Now I'm going to read the statement Andy mentioned about historical context and explain what I think it means. I'm going to give you my take on it and why I really don't think it matters that much either. And finally, on enforcement, we've retrained all of our support teams on our policies, including special sessions on cultural and historical contextualization of hateful conduct, and implemented an ongoing refresher program. We've also improved our internal tools and systems in order to deal more effectively with this conduct when it's reported to us. Our goal is a faster and more transparent process. What I think they've done is actually gone and built their own oppression scale algorithm. We've been assuming that they've been using the oppression scale anyway to judge whether they should ban someone or not, like without the algorithms. So now they're just gonna beef up the algorithms they already have anyway, and just make it more efficient for them and less work for them to do physically on their own as human beings. That's my take on it. That's what I think they're doing. And that's why I don't think it's that much more of a big deal than it already was. Not trying to downplay things here, people. Like, I think all these things are important. If I'm not making videos on Islam, I'm making videos on social justice warriors or free speech. And, I'm not taking the Dusty route here and saying you guys should stop making videos on that. That's not what I think. I think it's still important. And I think it's more important than Dusty realizes. I don't want to get into that too much. I'll say real quick that these people do affect legislation. So all the people going around just saying, oh, it's only just blue-haired college students saying shit. No, these people get legislation changed in bunches of states. But that's not the point of this video. My point is that ever since the elections ended, or even, before the election ended, there's been a lot of division going on and splitting up, left and right talk all of a sudden again. A lot of bitching and moaning and yapping and throwing shade, just because someone voted for Trump or they voted for Hillary. Either way, both sides are acting like a bunch of assholes. Honestly, I'm sick of the whole left-right thing, and if I actually want to give any credit to this left-right nonsense, I'd be more center. Honestly, people, do we all realize what got us a Trump presidency anyway, whether you like him or not? It was all the name-calling and bitching instead of pointing out facts and using arguments. In the so-called skeptic community, it went fucking completely bonkers. So how about we try and rein it back in a bit? I don't care if you guys want to bicker and have drama. I'm not fucking into the drama, but I'm all for throwing shade here and there. It's fun. How about we just try and produce a little bit better content by showing the facts? Let's not go over the top too often, or exaggerate so much, or be so quick to make a video like I actually wanted to when I first made this. I was so eager to do it. Let's present something